Well, a strategy that brands could adopt instead of using paid at the moment because of the cost being so high, micro-influencers.
She's on fire today, guys. Fuck. I like this. I am an advocate for micro-influencers.
Yeah.
I have this toxic thing, and I don't know if you would resonate with it. You probably won't, but it's this thing where like, okay, well, it's a fact that the micro-influencers have better engagement rates because
Yes.
their numbers are like relatively better than
Yeah.
a Justin Bieber, for example.
Yes.
And I think the fact that they are micro-influencers means that they have like a actual dedicated, fresh, like new audience that's more of a community kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the second the influencer gets too big, I feel like there's a cutoff point where like the audience stops
Believing them.
kind of thing, or like the audience stops being that person's audience. They kind of become mainstream.
Yes.
Like I have this super toxic thing when like Billie Eilish was like coming up.
Yeah.
I was like a super big Billie Eilish fan.
Yeah.
And then she had like one album come out and like it was all over
Blew
TikTok
up.
and blah blah blah. And then it stopped feeling like, oh, that's my artist now. That's like everybody's artist.
Yes.
And so I
get
generally
it.
stopped listening to her. That's it.
Damn.
I don't know if that's toxic or what, but like
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely experienced it before with like influencers that I've been following
Yeah.
since day one. And it's weird because I'm rooting for them. Like, I want them to grow and I want them to have a successful career because I genuinely enjoy their content.
not too much.
And then, and then as soon as it's like, yeah, it hits a level of like, it becomes unrelatable.
Yeah.
Their content becomes unrelatable. Their lifestyle isn't relatable to me anymore. So I kind of stopped consuming as much of their content. I probably wouldn't go to the extent of like unfollowing them.
Yeah.
I still follow them and watch them here and there when they come up on my feed, but I'm not actively keeping up
You're
with
not as
that
invested
person.
kind of thing.
Yeah, anymore.
Because like yeah, for me it was like Emma Chamberlain was like the YouTube equivalent.
Yeah.
Like I
used to watch her YouTube videos.
she was my guilty
too.
pleasure, like-
yeah.
I was definitely not the target audience. I think I was
Mm-hmm.
like just fucking a straight 14-year-old boy. Like that was not Emma Chamberlain's audience. But I was just like what I was so enamored by like her type of content, and then she just like the second she like got on the Met Gala, I was like, okay,
It's over.
it's been real.
But I love that for them. At the same time, it is a really weird conflict. I think you just have to have both. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have the huge influences that you consume, and then as the micro influencers that you follow grow into that, you kind of replace them with other
Yeah.
people. Like when you stop listening to Billie Eilish, you probably started listening to another
Yeah.
artist. But it's a really interesting concept that I always like notice on social media. Like people will ride for you
Yeah.
until you're too big, and then even if you're the same person producing the same content, and they also lose that trust for you and your opinion.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to be truly influenced by an influencer to buy anything. But if I were to be, it would likely be a micro influencer.
Because I also think the other thing about micro-influencers is that they're so much more engaging with their audience. Like if they fucked up, they're more likely to like make a statement about it really quickly. Whereas like the second you become mainstream, you have to do this annoying thing where like you kind of want to let it die and then like
Yeah.
you shoot
It's
back.
more of like a PR thing
Yeah,
now
yeah.
rather than just like, oh, let me address
It
it
becomes,
with
like,
my
polished.
audience. Yeah, for sure.
And it just goes to show you that bigger doesn't always mean better. Like in terms of like influencers, like I'm trying to make an example, but like you're better off having a brand deal with a like, do you know Reg 777 Reagan?
Reagan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
Like you're better off making a brand deal with her than like I don't want to say Emma Chamberlain, like another person.
But Reagan's huge.
Yeah.
Reagan is not a micro influencer. She
No, but,
has
like-
millions of TikTok followers.
But her rise, or like,
Yeah.
by the even like, hold on, this whole TikTok followers thing, they're like kind of inflated because like a person could have like 3 million followers on TikTok and
Yeah.
have, like just under 50K on Instagram.
yeah, but it's platform to platform. Like
Yeah.
she can be a micro influencer on Instagram, but a huge influencer on TikTok.
Yeah.
And Reagan has 3 accounts, all with over 1 million followers on them.
Yeah, bad example.
So, but I think Reagan's actually a great example of how you can be huge and still maintain that micro influencer feel.
Yeah.
Because that's actually someone who I haven't noticed a shift in her content as she's grown. And I
Yeah.
think she's maintained that sort of intimate feel with her audience because she always engages, she's always in the comments, she always replies, she will genuinely address things. Like she's been in multiple drama,
Yeah.
like mini scandals, like for the time that I've been following her. She always gets on angry, upset, and will just like genuinely address her audience. It also helps that she hasn't been in the wrong or done anything that she needs to apologize for. She's always just kind of explained her side of things. And then also she has a Finsta, which has Finsta, it's like on TikTok. I don't know what you call that.
TikTok.
But she uses that account as if it's just her close friends. So that really helps her stay relatable. So yeah, I think she's like a case study of someone who feels like a micro influencer, but is actually huge. Yeah, I feel like most influencers, as they get really big, kind of go back into their shell and crave more of that privacy that they had prior to being famous, which ends up leaving them in a place where they just feel like they don't really care about their audience anymore. So she's done a really good job with that.
And the better thing with, like, if you're a brand that's wanting to work with an influencer, I feel like micro influencers are like the best because, again, like for one, they have a really niche audience, like relatively speaking, compared to the mainstream, and overall they're cheaper.
Oh, 100%.
Which is interesting. I wonder, like, I guess followership is the main thing, but I feel like they should be leading with engagement. Like, why aren't some of these micro influencers not charging more than the mainstream influencers?
I mean, there probably are some that are.
Yeah.
I feel like followership will always be like, I don't want to say it's the most important metric because like I don't actually believe that.
Yeah.
But if we look at clout and just how people are viewed in the world, like followership is a big number.
Yeah.
So I feel like that will always reign supreme. If you're looking at people's rates. However, there probably are micro influencers that earn just as much as bigger influencers, especially the ones that have reached their peak and they're kind of like falling off now. I follow a girl on TikTok who has maybe 40,000 followers and she lives full time off that audience. Like she's a finance, she makes finance content, so she puts out her numbers. She earns like 15K a month from her 40,000. Yeah, from her 40,000 TikTok followers. So you can definitely do a lot with a smaller audience. But I think you have to be a bit more business minded because you have to do it yourself. Whereas these large influencers can afford managers and agencies who treat their personal brand really like a business.
I think the second that you bring the agencies, the managers, I feel like that's where the audience starts losing trust in the influencer. It stops becoming like a one-man team. It starts becoming like a brand. And people kind of want to talk to the human and not the brand.
Yeah.
Because like when these celebrities or like when these influencers become mainstream, you're talking to the face of the brand. You're not talking to the person themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting.